right. Hello and welcome to the Immigration Podcast, Season 4, Episode 5, I believe. My name is Rob Ratliff. I'm an immigration attorney in Cleveland, Ohio, and former immigration judge. And our co host tonight.
Susan Hiller from Hiller Law Group out in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Excellent. And we didn't talk about it before, but it just occurred to me you did you got the victory in the habeas in Alabama.
Yes.
For your client that was actually detained in Louisiana, so
Correct.
Cross circuits, and still got the bond.
And I won the bond, and that was not easy. I will tell you, they still were arguing. The government's now arguing home ownership. If you don't own a home, you're a flight risk, and I found that to be ludicrous. Because there's a lot of Americans that don't own homes and can't afford them in this market. And I explained how my great-grandparents came here and they worked extremely hard making this country. You know, they dug the granite in the granite quarries in Milford, Massachusetts, for example, on my Italian side. And that Milford granite was used to make a lot of the government buildings in this country. And they didn't own a home until the end of their life.
Yeah.
But that didn't make them a flight risk.
Well, and there's been a lot of recent articles lately about complaining that people with various immigration statuses about them owning homes. And, you know, in the issues a couple of weeks ago about banking regulations and trying to shut down banking for people that don't have full status. So to say that not owning a home is a flight risk seems to be a real problem.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rob, because I had a client recently who asked me about that, and he wasn't sure if he should even keep his money at the bank anymore, even with work authorization, or even if they're using a taxpayer ID number and paying the taxes, they're afraid they're going to get banked. But even those who have work authorization and Social Security, when they're not in full status, they're not sure if they're going to be able to bank. So if they use the bank, how can they even apply for a mortgage?
Where was your client detained at? In Louisiana?
Louisiana, the Southern ICE Center, where they have 900 women.
Did you have one of the Oakdale or Gina judges?
I think it's what the second one you said. They're coming out of Texas.
The Dallas IAC?
Yes, Dallas or Houston IAC, and
I guess the IAC is in Fort Worth, actually. So.
Fort Worth, there we go. Yeah, Fort Worth, that's what it was. And the other thing I wanted to point out that they also said that her selling beer to a minor was, a particularly serious crime, because she sold the beer to a minor, and the minor would have gotten into a car accident or such forth. This has never been argued before. It's a petty misdemeanor. Actually, it's a crime. It's an infraction in Tennessee, and she wasn't given her warnings, so it's a constitutional citation. But now we're going to use that in immigration as a particularly serious crime. Not with that particularly serious crime, but particularly serious in the sense of dangerousness.
Yeah.
I think we have to be aware that the very lowest infraction, including maybe even jaywalking, if they would actually do the jaywalking, you've now posed the risk that you could be hit by a car, and that car could then fly into the curb and might hit a pedestrian. That's how far-fetched they're getting, that anything an alien does where they get an infraction, a speeding ticket, can be considered dangerous.
Did DHS did they try to fight it because you had a habeas decision from an 11th Circuit District Court and the immigration court was 5th Circuit?
No, they didn't do that because the habeas had her name on it. So that's the
Yeah,
good part. So they did honor that, but they did reserve appeal. They didn't take the
sure.
emergency appeal, thank God. And I did make sure that the bond was posted as fast as possible because we had a hearing on June 18th that was going to go forward. And that hearing, I had already told the judge I had very minimal opportunity to talk to the client there because the jails stated that 900 women, they can't accommodate every lawyer to actually speak with their clients.
Yeah.
So,
That's interesting though, because I mean that indicates that for someone that's detained, maybe in the Sixth Circuit or the a non-mandatory detention circuit, and then gets transferred to the Fifth Circuit. I mean that's an important point to try to get
they
that
will.
habeas filed while they're still in that circuit, so that it
Mhm.
can carry over that non-mandatory detention, the rulings from those circuits.
The judge and DHS both, as long as the habeas has the individual's name on it, it it doesn't matter if you're in the Fifth Circuit and it's granted by another circuit, or if somehow you get it granted by the Fifth Circuit, but it doesn't matter if you're in the circuit and you're in the Fifth Circuit, they will recognize it as long as it's in the client's name.
That's helpful then. I mean that's going to be helpful to a lot of people because I just had some people, some clients detained over the weekend, and one of the things we're trying to do is as quickly as possible get things filed and get things taken care of because fearful of whether or not they transfer them and try to get them into a mandatory detention jurisdiction.
Hmm. And remember too, the judges down there are, I don't know if the judges where your clients are detained are invoking as hard of the rule as DHS is down there, and the judges on home ownership, which is bizarre to me
Yeah,
because one of the things I argued is if my client wanted to leave, she could have taken an order and left the country. I mean, obviously, if they're standing to fight the case, they want to bring the case. And my client had a 2 to 3 year old daughter. So her goal was to reunite. And they're going to know where she's at because of her child.
yeah,
Plus, they have Palantir on all of these people. Their phones are being monitored constantly.
yeah, yeah. We, I think that's an important consideration for a lot of the clients. The standards that the courts are applying for determining what is appropriate for immigration bond have changed dramatically. And I've had cases where DHS has argued the fact that they've been here for years and years and years was an evidence of danger or flight risk. In the same time, clients that have entered recently, they've argued that a recent entry is evidence of flight risk or danger. So the things that have historically been beneficial to a client that was applying for bond, length of time in the community ties, employment, um, those things, I've seen those being used against them. That owning a house is something that, previously you would think would be something the government would be saying, well, how are you doing that when you don't have legal
Right.
status? And so
Where are you getting the
that's,
money?
yeah,
Not only that, I mean, I don't know if I argued this, but you can argue it. I mean, BlackRock said you will own nothing and you will be happy. And that's for everyone. For Americans, that's for everyone. So if that's the motto 2030 from Davos, then you cannot then say that ownership is something that has to be accomplished in order to not be a flight risk. We're all at the point where any one of us at any time, even if unless you're a billionaire, you know, could, not be at home. It could be an apartment. And there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, yeah. Well, seen anything else interesting in court these days? I mean, every day it seems like there's something different. There was the decision today that regarding the client, the person that didn't get asylum but got withholding.
Oh, tell us about that.
Did you see that?
I
the
didn't see that
decision.
one today. Tell us.
It just came out from the BIA today, and the judge denied the person's asylum on discretionary grounds. Found that there was some prior DUI and driving related conduct, but then granted withholding, which is a higher standard for
Right,
persecution,
right.
and so that was appealed, and BIA said, well, that's okay. So even if you've met the standard for asylum, you can still lose that on discretionary grounds. But if the asylum claim is, if the persecution claim is good enough, you can still win withholding. It's actually, one of the rare things that can be a little bit favorable to a client.
Wait, they actually let the person, we have a BIA case that allow the person to get withholding?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's
That's
very,
the
very.
first positive case in a long time.
It really was. It was interesting, and I don't know what the basis for the underlying asylum claim was. It didn't really go into that. So I mean, it was an interesting thing.
Do you remember what country they were from, Rob?
Cameroon.
Okay.
So there's a lot of bad things there, but when in those asylum cases now that discretion has such a big part in it,
Mhm.
in that discretionary analysis, that's something you just really got to be prepared for. It sounds like whoever the attorney was in that case did a fair job, and
Mm.
was able to convince the judge to do the withholding, even despite the issues that he had with some of the criminal history. But yeah, I mean, you just can't take it for granted anymore. You have to
Yeah,
really make sure you've covered those discretionary factors in asylum.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. I wonder, was that a recent DUI or?
I think there was more than one, so
Okay.
it could have been many, but yeah, it, I don't know what you've been working with, but we've just been getting call after call recently on all the credential fraud cases. Because we do in addition to the removal stuff, we do a lot of business immigration at the
Okay, what's
firm
the
as well.
credential fraud one? I haven't heard that either.
Well, apparently some company out of India has admitted. I don't know what got them to make the admission, but hundreds of 100,000 plus fake credentials.
Oh, like saying that people had
Yeah,
jobs and past histories and experience they didn't?
selling degrees essentially, diploma mill.
Degrees.
Yeah. So we've been working with a lot of employers now that are if you got a fake degree for your undergrad and then you
Mm.
use that to come to the United States, and now even if you went to medical school, even if you're the top doctor in
Mhm.
your field, if that first degree, that undergraduate degree,
Yeah.
was not legit, that's a problem. So we've been dealing with calls from employers, regarding, well, what do we do? How do we make sure that the
Yeah.
the doctor, even if the doctor is a citizen now, or the dentist, or the scientist, even if they've become a citizen, if that original entry through H-1B or whatever
How do
was,
they? I mean, now they need to go back. So that means that if they did go to medical school, that medical school didn't verify with the college.
yeah, or did a cursory review, just made a
They
call and
just took
said, yeah,
for granted.
yeah. So it's going to create a lot of problems, and it will create a lot of problems for employers because they can't just target credential reviews for foreign-born
Right.
uh, employees. So they've got to do more of a comprehensive look at everything, review all their policies and procedures, and try to do the right things moving forward. But I think, with the big denaturalization push on top of that, I think we're going to see these two things continue to develop and continue to mesh together, and see more and more denaturalization cases and more people
Mhm.
having those issues, and getting the letters from the U.S. Attorney's Office that they're going to pursue denaturalization.
And I'm surprised they're not going to pursue maybe visa fraud for some of the people.
They could. I talked to an attorney today in Arizona, and she has a denaturalization case, and the individual's citizenship was over 15 years ago.
Mm.
So, I mean, their time is no bar to, you know,
The civil.
yeah, what they're going to try to do in those cases. And obviously,
Mm.
you could try to make it as uncomfortable as possible for everybody. And I think that's what the overall immigration policy of the country is right now: make
Oh,
immigration uncomfortable. You know,
billion.
so people leave on their own.
Hmm. And you've been hearing about the civil asset forfeiture and $1 million fines for people.
Yeah, I haven't seen many clients that have actually faced any forfeitures. We had, when the administration first came in place in the second Trump administration, had a lot of clients that got the letters. Some young kids with, 2-3 million dollar fine letters, but I hadn't really seen much in the way of enforcement. But anecdotally, I've heard recently, I definitely heard some stories where they're seeking forfeiture and other things against those families.
Yeah, I've heard of a few cases here in North Carolina, South Carolina, and I'm looking at getting those attorneys on in the future to discuss what's going on with those cases because
And
one person
that's a real
can't.
issue. Yeah, I mean, it's a real issue for some people that have built businesses, built assets in the United States, and now not only do they want to throw you out, but they want to take it all.
Right, and it's retroactive. Like you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't. I don't. I think that if it's properly litigated, I mean, it should be. It shouldn't be enforced retroactively because how could you have protected yourself or? And if it's legitimately yours and you worked hard for it, what? In the
Well,
case,
there is the mandatory fine that gets imposed, and it's the last thing pretty much every judge says right before, I wish you the best of luck, or what best wishes
right? That's the
is the
5,000.
little, yeah, it's the little caveat about if you don't leave, the fines of up to however much it is right now per day.
Per
Uh,
day. Oh, that's the new one per day.
yeah, but it's been in place for quite a while,
Oh,
and it's always been something that was kind of just read as part of the normal advisals that you're given at the end of uh, issuing a ruling or a judgment. And but now they're enforcing those, sending out those letters, and now it sounds like even trying to collect on that.
I thought Robert used to just be 5,000 that was in play for the longest time. It was 5,000 total if you
No,
failed.
there's per day fines
I
for
thought that under Trump though. I thought.
under the last one, but there's some other per day fines that have always been there, and it's went up over the years, and it's an odd number. It's not like an even number,
Wow.
but it does add up, and that's why we see a lot of people that have an in absentia order, from years and years ago,
Mm.
and now have these millions of dollars of fines.
Mm. So, what about the adjustments? What have you been seeing with the 26 new questions with regard to adjustment of status versus counsel processing?
It's going to be interesting. We've got someone coming up for or that came up for consular processing in India last week, and very aggressive interview. Um,
Were you allowed
very
to be on the phone with that one?
uh, we were not. They wanted to proceed on their own. Even offered to travel if the client wanted us to be there in person, which something really
That's
kind of fell out of favor a long time ago. You used to
right.
go to those all the time. Um, but yeah, the uh, aggressive interview ultimately wasn't denied, but was sent home with request for additional documentation, additional evidence, and again, I think it's uh, just try to make it uncomfortable. Hope as many people as possible don't follow through. hope they don't
Yeah.
respond in a timely fashion, and so makes it easy to deny. Just set up hurdles and roadblocks, and
Right.
try to make it happen. And that seems like what, because the things that were asked for were very
Minor.
innocuous, very kind of minimal. And there's a child parent case, so
Wow.
yeah,
And was it mother or child?
child U.S. citizen child, foreign parents.
Yeah.
So
I don't think they want, my feeling is that they don't want this is just the way I'm feeling, right? Since this administration started, like they don't want the older parents coming here because they're already messing up on Medicare for us. And I feel like they feel like they're coming in. It's not for us. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're doing it for the senior citizens,
yeah.
but they haven't been putting into the system, and I think they're trying to stall the older generation coming in here from these children.
Well, I think in just kind of my internal perception of it is we're all kind of waiting on the birthright citizenship decision, which sometime in the next few weeks
Yeah, that
is
should.
coming. But if depending on how that goes, I think there's probably going to be some push to limit or stop the what people call chain migration, but one person coming here and then applying for family and siblings and children and things like that. I think there'll be a push to try and eliminate a lot of that.
You think it's because of resources? Like, if it really comes down to it, is it about there's just not enough money in the system, safety net system that they
It'd
have
be
to.
nice to think that that was the calculation being made, but I don't think it is. I think the calculation is probably based on something much different. Um,
Right,
because the chain migration kind of thing is really kind of a misnomer, anyways. Because when you look at India or China or Mexico, it's decades before
right.
visa numbers become available, except for immediate relatives. So it's I don't know how big of an issue that really is as far as numbers go.
Yeah, I really think it was the border, and they're starting to enforce that better. So I think the border brought so many people in, and then those people's chain migration
Yeah,
could have been a push, but regular normal flow.
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, obviously the birthright citizenship case is just something waiting on every day, and the TPS case that's up there because we have a lot of people from Haiti that settled here in Ohio, and a lot of them were working in various industries. So we're getting calls from employers like is their work authorization still good? How do I know that? You know, how do I prove it? And because the employers are fearful as well.
Right.
They're not trying to violate rules or laws for the most part. So um, and that issue is going to impact a lot of people very very quickly if the administration can just end TPS almost as quickly as they started, um, which creates
Mm,
problems.
that's a big problem.
Yeah, yeah, because some of these people have been here for decades.
Decades.
Yeah, so
And they never did anything to really help them.
no,
Maybe
and yeah, and the TPS system. I mean, all their families, their children, they're all U.S. citizens.
US citizens.
Um, so and that's why people that have TPS now that have that I've talked to, I've told everyone this: you can't sit back and wait on this TPS decision and hope that TPS remains. You've got to find another path. You've got to, even if you had an entry without inspection, you've got to find a path. You've got to look at waivers, what might be available to you there. Get the I-130s filed, get those approvals, because that's taken 18 months to 2 years to get your I-130 approved.
Yep.
And if your TPS ends with the decision of the Supreme Court in the next week or two, so does your work authorization.
Right.
So,
Question on one more thing on the work authorizations for asylum, the ones that were 5 years on the cards. Have
yeah,
you noticed had any clients coming to you saying that their employers are saying that E-Verify is saying it's not valid anymore?
I've not seen that. Shouldn't. I mean, the card should still be valid unless it was, approved through a parole or something. But just a regular asylum 5-year card should still be okay.
Yeah, I had a client that recently the employer put it through and it's saying it's not. I don't know, maybe E-Verify is not working, and I'm not sure what he's seeing, but he's not seeing the approval part. But the
Hmm.
card's good, and they didn't get any letter saying that their work authorization is no longer good.
Yeah, yeah.
I told
It
the employer, I believe it's a glitch in the system. The card should
could
be
could be as long as the asylum's still pending and that's all still going
exactly.
on, then it's
Yep,
should
still
be
pending.
valid. The
Yeah,
renewal is only going to be for 1 year or 2 years, but
right, right.
but as long as they still have the 5-year card.
Yeah, they do.
Hmm. No, I've not seen that. I'll take a look into it. We have so many hospital and healthcare employers that they have a lot of employees in those kind of categories.
Yeah,
Take a look at that. Well,
that's it.
Susan, I think you have a big day ahead of you tomorrow.
I do. I have to get some eye surgery, so
So, well, good luck with that. I'll let you rest up, and
thank you.
next week we'll see you in full pirate costume.
Probably yeah, pirate, and my head might be down, so you'll be seeing the iPad. I'll put an iPad down here,
Yeah,
so you might still see me, but I may have to wear sunglasses or
yeah.
pirate.
Well, that's because your future's so bright.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
See you next week.
See you next week.